How's it going everyone? It's Mark from Silence Tech. I hope you're all keeping well. Today I have an awesome build planned featuring an i9 10850K and also an RTX 3080 Trio from MSI. I haven't got any Ryzen stuff in yet. I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to do a build very soon. In this video I will touch slightly on the new Ryzen CPUs and how they compare to this Intel CPU in my new PC. So anyway, without further ado, roll the intro. Right guys, today we're going to take a look at each individual part in my new build, while asking the question, can Intel stay relevant? Since AMD has just released Zen 3, a whole new lineup of CPUs besting what Intel currently have to offer. Plus they have another 2 GPUs coming out very soon with apparent performance better than their biggest rival, Nvidia. Clearly I would recommend waiting for independent reviews to come out GPU wise, nevertheless the 6800 XT is looking very promising. Anyway, the MSI Trio RTX 3080 I've used in this build has a rather minimal design compared to previous models. There's a huge light bar running along the top that doesn't diffuse the individual LEDs very well, resulting in bright spots all along the bar. On the top there's a nice backplate, completely absent of any RGB, all you get is a white MSI logo this time around. Much like MSI's Lightning Z 2080 Ti, their Trio RTX 3080 has triple PCIe 8-pin power connectors, in contrast to the Founders Edition's 12-pin. This card should be great for extreme overclocking, however I wonder, are they really necessary? Also, I wish this card had an on-screen display, like my Lightning Z 2080 Ti, that was a killer feature. Unfortunately, all we get is a rather dim MSI logo on the side. With an MSRP of $749 US, ultra high-end gaming has never been so cheap, that's as long as you don't look on eBay. This card's core boosts up to an average of 2K stock and has some overclocking headroom. I managed to add an extra 70 MHz to the core, resulting in a maximum GPU core clock of 2115. On the memory I could only add an extra 500 MHz. Overall, I'm pretty impressed with the extra performance this card delivers compared to my previous Lightning Z 2080 Ti, but I don't particularly like the design. Even my older 1080 Ti Trio looked way better compared to this. Regardless, it's performance that matters, and it has bucket loads. Temps are pretty toasty, hitting 82 degrees Celsius max, although all the games I tested ran extremely smooth with Nvidia's latest driver. I decided to use Intel's i9 10850K for this build. It's one of the best CPUs they have to offer, coming in only second to the 10900K at stock speeds. AMD have just released their new Ryzen 5900X and 5800X, which could be a great alternative to this. They cost more, but they offer blistering performance, beating out the 10900K. Honestly, I can't wait to check them out. Cost wise, you're looking at around $450 US for the 10850K, so it will be a great choice regardless, and you will save around $50 over the 10900K with only a marginal reduction in performance, just 100 MHz. At this point you're much better off picking up a 10850K, especially if you're going to overclock it, since it has the exact same 10 core 20 thread configuration. Even at stock speeds you will have an absolute monster, capable of boosting up to a maximum of 5.2 GHz with terminal velocity, although that will only be on a couple of cores. Stock however, you're looking at 4.8 GHz overall. In Cinebench R20 my 10850K scored a maximum of 6091 multi and a single core result of 493. Moving on to the case, yes, I've finally done an all black build. Seriously, I haven't done a black build in months. This is of course Corsair's 4000D Airflow, and I recently did a review on the X model and I will put a link in the description. Honestly, it's a game changer for Corsair in my opinion. Costing $79.99 US, it's a bargain, and it performs like any high-end case for a fraction of the price. Corsair could have easily have charged $100 for this case. There's amazing airflow, a pierce-through shroud that goes all the way to the front, and even the top dust filter is of a very high standard. Cable management in the back is a bit tight, so you may have some trouble, but the tie backs are so strong and well laid out, I still had room to fit a 24-pin and triple PCIe extension cables, no trouble at all. Next up, my motherboard. I went with a Z490 MSI Meg Ace, retailing for $400 at launch. However, you should be able to pick one up much cheaper now, so definitely shop around. This upper mid-range board has some great features, such as 3 M.2 slots, Wi-Fi, a Type-C port on the back, and great onboard audio. Overclocking my 10850K was really easy and straightforward, but I would recommend using Intel's terminal velocity instead for games. It will boost your two favoured cores to way beyond its typical all-core turbo boost. In any case, I managed a 5.1 GHz all-core overclock with the Z490 Ace, which would be great for work-related tasks. As far as the design is concerned, MSI love mixing RGB LEDs with hard colours. These days they've gone with gold. While I much prefer just plain black or white so that RGB LEDs can do all of the talking, gold is way less intrusive than red, and I can hardly notice the gold at all once my PC is turned on. You will need to install Mystic Light, which is now a part of their Dragon Center software, to control the RGB lighting, but I really like some of their effects, and compared to previous versions, MSI's Mystic Light has improved a lot over the past year, and now I don't mind using it at all. For memory, I went with 64GB of HyperX Fury RGB DDR4. They show up in MSI's Mystic Light software as well, with my card and motherboard, so changing the LED effects is super convenient. They also use infrared sync, which means each module can see the next one, causing the colours to always stay perfectly synchronized. Using XMP in my motherboard system BIOS, they ran at 2666 MHz, just enough for an Intel-based system, but I would recommend using higher speeds if you're going to go with Ryzen. My power supply is a CX750F. I was a little worried that this 750 watt PSU would be enough for the mighty Trio RTX 3080 while overclocked, but so far it's been running like a champ. Please note I am sent this stuff to produce content on, and ultimately I would be more comfortable running a 850 watt PSU just to be safe in a build like this. A hot topic with this power supply is of course the RGB implementation. It's pointless, but come on, it's Corsair, they're the RGB kings. Personally, I would never run a power supply with a fan facing upwards, since in this orientation it will be sucking hot air in from the GPU, but if it costs the same as a non-RGB PSU, then who cares? With the PSU the right way up, I have noticed my PC has a neon underglow, giving any 90s boy racer a run for their money. Okay, what else? For my Windows install, I used a Kingston 500GB KC2500 NVMe M.2 SSD, and for extra storage I also added a 500GB A400 Kingston SSD. Now I should have just about enough room for a clean install of Call of Duty Cold War and Modern Warfare. Seriously, I would recommend buying a single 2TB M.2 if you can. Game installs are just so big nowadays, but I know they're very expensive. Lastly, for my 10850K I used an iQOO H100i Pro XT for cooling, and mounting it up top is the way to go in this particular case, since a bigger radiator at the front will block too much airflow, causing higher system temps. Now let's look at some results for Intel's Core i9 10850K and MSI's Trio RTX 3080 of course. Every benchmark that I'm going to show you will reflect on the whole system as well. Let's see what this beast can do. Right everyone, rounding off, would I recommend building a system like this at the moment? No, just because it's pretty much impossible to get your hands on an RTX 3080 Plus. With so much coming up from AMD, it would be crazy to build a system right now. However, if your heart is set on an Intel/Nvidia build, this is as good as it gets without spending crazy amounts of money on a GPU of course. My benchmarks show how good a PC like this can be. The performance is staggering. 4K is no longer a resolution to be feared. In fact, it's just a resolution like any other. 8K will be the benchmark for GPUs to reach in the coming years. Maybe a better option if you're thinking of buying a GPU right now would be an RTX 3070. But saying that, I feel when prices come down, a slightly used 2080 Ti might be an absolute steal. Anyway, I really hope you've enjoyed my build, everyone. My name's Mark from Silence Tech, and I will see you all very soon. Goodbye.